Hello and welcome back to another episode of course, DC Alliance. I am your host, Clay, and with me this week is, of course, Travis Hines, like every week. How you doing, buddy?
Pretty good, Clay. Started my first day at my work term today, and that was fun because I was just given a bunch of stuff to do and put in my own office and was allowed to just do it. Work at my own pace all day and using computerized accounting program, and it was refreshing.
You know, that is exactly why I've kind of I didn't really have this mentality until Abby taught me to do it. Is like I used to just apply to whatever jobs and just be like, hope for the best and just, whether it be a shit job or not, just take it because hey, I need a job. But this time around, I have been doing more so like in my field, and luckily enough, I've been like they've rejected me, but they've taken the time to at least like respond to me, and it's not just like an animated, just like
No,
boom.
they're listening to what you're.
They're looking at my stuff and they're just saying, "Hey, right now we'll keep your resume, but we're not looking right now." So at least people are hearing me out, which is really really cool. But that is the dream, man, is to be able to find a job that is like, hey, we know that you can do X, Y, and Z, so we trust you to do X, Y, and Z. Here's the work, and give it to us when we're done. When you're done. And that is why I love editing podcasts. And that's kind of why I want to be in the audio engineering stuff, is because I know how to do it. And hopefully there's people that can trust me enough to do it on my own. But we are here today. We have not a whole lot of news. There's, some stuff, again, some flash talk happening, and it's not really anything big. People are kind of just, again, wondering, hey, is the Flash really happening? I think it's definitely still
Well,
is.
it's in the can. Like that's the thing. Like it's
Yeah,
film.
and of course we've seen that almost every single film for the DCEU has been delayed due to VFX.
Yeah.
And they have been backlogged for a while.
They were
So
predicting this, Clay, when we were in the point of everything was shut down for a while. And they were like, when
yeah,
it starts up, everything's going to want to start up all at the same time. And you're going to get this backlog, which you did. It wasn't the same when like Zack Snyder's Justice League came out because when they were working on that, they were starving for stuff because nothing was being done, nothing new. But when you had everything being new at once, then you're getting that backlog. It's understandable. You and I are on the camp of we didn't care about the delays. It was the whole put the teaser of 4 movies in 1 year coming in front of the Batman, knowing all too well the following week you had to push it back. You knew before that it was getting pushed back.
yeah, yeah.
So that was a frustrating thing. It wasn't so much that,
And there's not a whole lot of stuff to that when it comes to what the talk is today on Twitter. So we'll leave that stuff for another time. Today, we're going to be talking a lot of the HBO Max stuff that we got from this week. But before we do that, of course, we need to do our GUA paperwork. Of course, we are part of the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network, which just means that we have 8 shows across 7 days a week. And we have a monthly, weekly, and bi-weekly schedules. Sorry, cannot talk. Of course, starting us off is A Slice of Film on Mondays, as well as Ranger Alliance on Mondays as well. We go back and forth on that. This week was, I believe, Slice of Film with
Slice of
the
the
Free Guy.
Ryan Reynolds Free Guy,
Yeah. I actually had the opportunity to edit and produce that last night. Really, really great episode with Sarah and Katie. So go check that one out for sure. Next week, I saw it today, and I even kind of commented. Season 30 of Power Rangers is starting to really get some talk around it. It's going to be a lot of fun reviewing that as it comes out. Hopefully, Netflix will start doing the weekly stuff and not the binge model for that. But we'll see how it
binge
goes.
model is just not. You can't do it if you have a day-to-day life. Even really, I can remember watching the Marvel. Shout out to Fans Without Borders, RIP. I used to have to make sure I would watch that all by the time it dropped. I think Thursday night into Friday morning it dropped, or maybe
Mhm.
I think that's when Netflix shows dropped back then. And you have to get it all watched before Monday when the Fans episode would drop from the weekend. Props to them for watching it too, because they'd record on, I think, Sunday. So that's like giving them only 2 days to watch 12 episodes. I think it was the Netflix order, or 10, one or two. But yeah, the binge model is just, I would never be able to keep up with that now. So I'm glad for like Peacemaker was perfect.
Yeah, and I think what we've said is if it is the binge model, we will break it up in parts because, of course, I want Joe and Jake to have their opportunities to share their thoughts on that season. It's going to be a lot of fun. There is some rumors of possibly a Beyond the Grid or Shatter of the Grid type of story for the 30th anniversary. So that would be really, really cool. Now, of course, on Tuesdays, we have here DC Alliance. We go live on Monday nights. So remember to always go to, if you aren't already, go to the Geekverse YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button, and make sure the bell is highlighted and go to all for notifications. So that way you know when we always go live. Of course, on Wednesdays is superhero discussions. And that means that the Superman and Lois reviews will be done for DC Alliance as well as Star Wars Alliance going live. This week, Star Wars Alliance is going to be reviewing The Force Awakens. We have not done that one yet, so we're going to go ahead and go back in time to review that one. We are just scraping the bottom of the barrel until we get to Kenobi, which is just 3 weeks away. It's going to be so much hype around that. And then, of course, Superman and Lois, we have we will
end of May, I think, is the next episode. So we're going to go live this Wednesday, I think, and just review the episode from last week.
Yep.
We punted, or 2 weeks ago, actually. We punted it for Marvel Alliance to do their Moon Knight episode.
Moon Knight review, exactly.
Which is no big deal. When you're punting your show for 4 weeks, we're sorry. It's not going to be a top priority.
But speaking of Marvel Alliance, they go live on Thursday nights. Last week was a special episode, of course, with Multiverse of Madness. We did a review there. Unfortunately, Hines could not make it due to some internet issues, but he was able to share some thoughts with the host of that show, and we were able to hear them on live for that review. I was there, Joe was there, Katie was there with some hot takes, like she always is.
Katie's hottest take for me was the whole Disney Plus thing. I still can't get over that. Like, that blows my mind.
And then,
as someone who uses Flickster.
And then, of course, we have a walk through the multiverse on Saturdays. And then, of course, last but not least, Chris does so much work and puts so much research into the episodes that he does of World's Finest True Believers. If you guys have not heard yet, he did move the show to monthly. He has a thread over at the World's Finest True Believers Twitter account where you can read all about why the decision was made to change how that show is released. But with that, we are a listener-supported network as well as an ad-supported network. So we will have ads in this show. Either Hines or myself will give you a fair warning about these ads in advance, because we do not choose the ads. We don't choose how many times they repeat themselves, or we don't choose the volume. So we will give you a little bit of a warning, and then that ad will come up. But of course, if you don't want to listen to those ads, you can always join our Patreon. Patreon is just $1 for a thank you, but the $5 tier does give you that early access to episodes as well as exclusive episodes. Now, and I say we, Travis, myself, Joe, and Chris have not yet talked about a date that we're going to be doing the TMNT Last Ronin finale book. But I know we are planning that.
Listeners, I'm going to post it in the chat after this episode. I'm going to say, actually, I'm going to post it in this chat while Clay continues on and say, when can we do this, guys?
Now, and then, of course, we have We Can Watch This All Day with Brent and Chris doing the chronological order of the MCU rewatch. That has been very fun. They just recently... Oh, shoot. What was the last movie that they did? I want to say Incredible Hulk. Yes. So go check that review out. We have Katie with all of her canon and non-canon Star Wars books and comics. The really cool thing about that is she is reining in her husband Matt to tag along with that because he is not a big uh, comic book reader. So we're really Katie has really dragged him in to get the experience of a comic book, but also the brand new IP of High Republic and Star Wars. It's a really really fun storyline and getting a perspective who somebody who kind of just gets it all from somebody else, a la with me and Abby. Abby knows a lot about this nerd stuff, but it's mainly because she gets it secondhand from me. Same thing I would assume with Matt. Now, there is that. Travis Snell and I are still waiting for issue number 6 of Batman 89 to review 5 and 6 together to end that series. And of course, Heinz has his top 5. Heinz, what's the top 5 that you're doing did you already do one for this month?
No, not yet. It's top 5 YouTube videos. I haven't had a chance to put that together yet. Top 5 YouTube channels. Sorry, not videos, channels. I haven't had a chance to finish up with that yet, but that will be done. I also want to make a special. I forgot to put that in there when we were talking about superhero discussions. We did a special episode this past week, listeners. It went up Sunday night and was in your feeds probably Monday morning. Clay and Joe joined me and we talked about Constantine House of Mystery, the DC animated short. The story is pretty basic. It's a Groundhog Day story. We more so got the meat and potatoes of the conversation is what this means for the DCAU as a whole and what it could potentially mean going forward. So check that out, especially because the final thing we have to talk about here tonight is a trailer that is part of the new animated universe. So check that out if you want to hear us talk about that. It's great.
I do have a theory that I have shared here on DC Alliance, but we go into detail about that theory in that episode for sure. So go check that one out. That was a lot of fun. But with that, of course, Star Wars, DC, and Marvel all have their own solo feeds. So if you would like to listen to them separately, you can. But you can always just stay right here with the GUA and just listen to all of our shows. But I almost forgot. Joe with the Multiverse Minutes on Patreon. He is currently doing stuff for The Boys, I know. And he even talked about today, I think he was working on... Oh, shoot. What was it that I shared that he was like, oh, that's what I wanted to do? Something I talked about some other show coming back. Oh, Westworld. He said he wanted to bring up Westworld on his Multiverse Minutes. I still need to watch that show. I know it's about to be on its 4th season, and I always liked the way it looked, but I am very interested in that story still.
They had some big time actors in that show.
Yes, they did.
I kind of want to check that out too.
All right. Well, that is it for the GUA paperwork. Let's go ahead and jump into this. Again, 2 weeks in a row, unfortunately. We have to open up with a somber note here. This one hurts me a little bit more, and I'm not going to be playing favorites with deceased comic book creators here, but George Perez died at 67 after battling stage 4 pancreatic cancer. This one is a big miss for DC as far as he created some of the greatest spread pages and not just DC but in Marvel as well, because he did a lot of great Avengers work as well. Of course,
that's where he got started, Clay, and was with Avengers. But he really, one of the well-known things is with Marv Wolfman for the new Teen Titans. Like what he did with that. Didn't he do one of the Crisis on Infinite Earths?
He did covers.
I mean, sorry.
Yeah, he did the covers for Crisis on Infinite Earths. I think he may have even done interiors for that comic, but he did the JLA Avengers book as well. He did covers and interiors on that one. This was heartbreaking, especially since in June they are going to be having a tribute to George Perez for his birthday month in June. I will definitely have to pick up some comics this upcoming June, so that way I can have that tribute. That's just they released that I think sometime at the end of last month. It looked great. But yeah, he is going to be greatly missed. there was a statement by I believe her name is Constance,
Yeah.
and it's just, we were getting updates every so once in a while from how he was doing and how he was very grateful for all of his fans and whatnot. It was really, really touching, this last statement. But yeah, you can always go check that out on Twitter.
And also check out a lot of his books, even on DCU, if you can't pick them up on like in actual like in person, like in physical copy. Check them out there. Like I said, a lot of them are the backbone of DC like comics going forward from like the like start, obviously.
Yes, and I will say the same thing that I did with uh with last week. Do not be going to your comic book shop
No.
and selling off your comics, your signed comics from George Perez. Comic shops who have any sense will refuse that sell. So just
Also,
don't do it.
George Perez wasn't a dick. He was a very nice person. So, just a little heads up, he signed a lot of comics. So, your comic that you think is super rare might not be that rare of a signature because, like I said, he would sign. He was like a draw at the cons. He was at a lot of cons. So,
Yes.
it's,
I remember there was one con here at in San Antonio. Unfortunately, the person who ran it literally scammed every individual that came, as far as comic book artists,
so it's like a
celebrities.
Friar Fest kind of situation. Like,
What
you
do you
know
mean?
that? Like, do you know what? Do you not know about Friar Fest?
No, I do
They
not.
had I'm not sure there is a musician, I want to say a rapper, that planned this big music festival on an island, sold everyone tickets to that, and when they got there, it was let's just say it wasn't like it was supposed to be, and that's me being very kind. It was like he stole their money.
That sucks.
Yeah,
Well, like with this, the very good thing about the convention, because I was just getting a part of the charity
thank
Fry
you, S
Fest, is
Dubs.
what
Yeah,
SPub says.
sorry, I was
Uh,
off a little bit there, my.
the convention that I went to, I was a part of a charity group. So we were kind of just going around, making sure things were in order and whatnot. But the celebrities were getting paid by the guests that were coming to see them, to take pictures with them, to get signatures with them. They were getting paid by that. But the person running it usually says, "Hey, I will pay you this lump sum to even get you over here."
Appearance fee, yeah.
Exactly. And he basically wrote them an IOU and then ran.
Oh my
Uh,
god.
yeah. Oh, and unfortunately, one of those individuals was George Perez. I got to meet him, and George was literally just walking around the entire convention. He could not sit still. Hanging out with cosplayers, talking to other celebrities. It was really hard to just get him to sit down at his table and sign some stuff and talk to people. But you still had the opportunity to talk to him. And he was just like a glow of sunshine, which was really, really cool to
Yeah,
to
all the
see.
pictures you see of him, Clay, he's smiling. Like he's
Yeah,
like a big, bright smile. And Chris Balga from Marvel Alliance shared a great little clip of him on Teen Titans Go with Marv Wolfman, and it is hilarious. I didn't watch that show, so I've never seen that clip before. So it
I
gave me
believe that's
quite the
from the
chuckle.
movie.
Yeah. Oh, it's from the movie.
Yeah, I
I
think
thought
it's
I saw
from
a
the.
second clip going around as well. Maybe one of them could be from the show. I'm not sure, but it did look. It was hilarious to me. So maybe maybe it's the movie. Maybe I didn't see the movie as
Nice.
well. Yeah.
Now, with that, let's try to make this a happier episode. We got some news about HBO Max. So SPubs does say it was from the show.
We
Yeah, I
don't
did not
question
watch
that
the.
stuff. So.
We didn't. I did not watch the show. But after I saw the fact that Teen Titans Go started to make fun of themselves, like after like the switch in animation and the style of show it was, I always was intrigued by it, but I still didn't make the effort to actually go and watch it. SPub
I
says, I
like that it's
love
out
Teen Titans
there.
Go, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Well, SPubs, I don't enjoy it, but I love that it's out there because it's for a different like it's for mostly a different demographic than me. But that's fine. I'm like bring in any DC fans that we can get. So if some come from that show, find some comics and that's great.
Yes. Now let's move on to our main topic of the night, being this. This came out of left field, just because I'm really surprised that James Gunn didn't make the announcement himself. Of course, it came from the trades, and then later on, kind of confirmed by Gunn. Um, Viola Davis is eyeing a return to the role of Amanda Waller in her own spin-off series, currently in the works at HBO Max. Variety has learned from sources. So the exact plot details are mostly under wraps at this point, but sources say that the show will build off of Waller's appearance at the end of the Suicide Squad spin-off series Peacemaker. And this is the exact quote from Daniel RPK's Patreon. It says, in the original Peacemaker ending that was cut, Waller was hiring villains to stalk and kill the witnesses of the Task Force X program before her trial. I think the new series will be about that. So, Hines, what do you think about this?
I want to go at this from two different avenues, I guess. One, the show and Amanda Waller, and the other, what it says for some DC projects going forward, because I think it puts more back into what you were saying. I don't know if it was last week or 2 weeks ago about this, or could have just been in a chat. All these conversations kind of blend into one for me now. Um, but you were saying that like they're just going to be focusing on the main continuity and not having offshoots or anything like that. I think from what we're seeing here, that is like first and foremost, but this connects from Peacemaker from the greater DCEU.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen any pushback by James Gunn shows not going to go hit, because we don't know if this is his second show that he's working on. He could just be an EP on this. He might not be as in the weeds. I'm kind of hoping, because I'm not as much of a fan of how Waller has gone in the two times he's has had his hands in her, like has a hand has his hands in like shaping what her story is. And yeah, I think I love how badass she was in the first Suicide Squad, and I
Yeah.
kind of wish we get back to it a little bit
Well,
more. She kind of
that's kind of what I wanted to bring up also, because again, we know as fans of this IP, especially in the comics, Waller is not afraid to get her hands dirty. Yeah, you need to be careful with that phrasing, Hines.
yeah,
It says all in the game.
yeah.
But but the Amanda is not afraid to get her hands dirty. So we saw that in David Ayer's Suicide Squad for sure. She literally offed every single individual in that room
Didn't
before.
need to, really. Didn't need to. Like, there
No,
was no
didn't
need.
need to, but she just did, and then was escorted out by Deadshot. Now, we didn't really see that part of her in here in the Suicide Squad or Peacemaker, but I think the name itself holds a lot of weight,
Oh, it does.
because you still have that ideal in the character. Uh, but she also, as I said, she's not afraid to get her hands dirty. We know the whole reason for Task Force X in the first place is so that way her name is kind of hidden, and Task Force X does all of her dirty work. So I can see this happening. I can definitely see this happening. As far as if James Gunn really has his name plastered all over this, I honestly wouldn't mind. Um, Although, like you said, he has not really focused on Amanda Waller and her badassery and her scariness in the two iterations of her character in his story. That was not the story that was written.
Oh yeah, I know.
This being the story that is written, being her being possibly the main character in here, we may see a completely different tone to Amanda Waller, even if James Gunn is writing it or directing it or producing it. You
That's a
know?
really good point, Clay. Because, like I said, I don't want to 100% rule out that he could just not has been focused on that, and that's just I'm putting this in to connect like kind of deal at the end of Peacemaker, because I just like you said about that scene where she went in and killed those. Well, when she killed those people before she left, it freaked out Deadshot, and he was like damn, like you're the real villain here, kind of deal, and to just scare all those villains. That's something that really I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. Like I love seeing little things like that. S Bubs has in the chat there. I think that the Suicide Squad 2016 has had the biggest impact. It had the most spin-offs, that's for sure, with Peacemaker, with another Suicide Squad, and Harley Quinn, the Birds of Prey, or whatever the Moses that was called.
Anticipation of but I can't even say the freaking phrasing right now.
Harley Quinn and the Marketing Mess. We'll just call it
yes,
there. There we go.
Yes.
Spin-offs of the spin-offs.
But I mean, S-Bubs is right. It is the direct, like, what is the phrasing I'm wanting to use? Like it has spawned the most spin-offs and really has the most world building, which is really crazy to think about. Considering the characters that have all been attached to this kind of story.
Well, yes and no, because when you think Suicide Squad, who do you think they go up against? Especially comics, most times. It's the Justice League.
Well, not necessarily.
They're doing missions, but I'm talking about when they're having a big bat. Like, let's just say that the Suicide Squad was a 6-issue or 10-issue run. There'd be a good chance you might see them go up against the Justice League at some point during that 10-issue run.
Yeah, I mean, there was a really big push for when Suicide Squad came out in 2016 that there was a Suicide Squad versus the Justice League, and it was a okay story, but they did it specifically because of the movie. Now, I would like a little bit more of that, to be completely honest. But most of the time, honestly, you would see either somebody like Flash interacting with all of the Suicide Squad, or somebody like Batman trying to stop the Suicide Squad is really most of the time what you see. But even like that, I've always said what you need to do is, and you could even do it here. Now, I know people will say you can't waste Batman on an HBO Max series, blah, 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 blah. But if you were to make this series here and have freaking Task Force X killing all of these witnesses and whatnot, and the very last one is saved by Batman, like, holy shit.
Which Batman?
Whatever Batman they want to put in the DCEU, because we all know that's a big mess, you know?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. What Batman will it be? Depending on if it's before the Flash, it doesn't have to be Batfleck unless you somehow merge the. It's a wacky mess, but I'm agreeing with you, Clay. Like that was a cool thing about the movie, was seeing Batman show up and take down Deathstroke and Joker / Harley, and seeing Flash show up and take down Captain Boomerang.
Yeah.
Was Captain Boomerang going? All the games says, what is Captain Boomerang going to do against the Justice League?
Well, nothing anymore, because he's
Kryptonite boomerangs. That's what he's going to do.
No, he's dead. There's
I know. He's just he's just asking what he could do.
But honestly, what I think about this series is I think that this has a lot of potential, because again, the one hope that I have, and I'm crossing my fingers, we get a Deathstroke appearance. That's what I want.
Yes.
Yes. I think Deathstroke would be one of the best options for this. Even if it's just a one-man team and he's doing it all himself, or if Amanda is actually hiring a whole bunch of different assassins to do everything, and we just get to feature Deathstroke in one of those assassinations, I think that would be cool as well, just so we can have a glimmer of hope of having that character solidified in the DCEU.
You could have something like where I'm a little afraid to even suggest this, because you could go two ways with it. But I'm just having it for terrible, because you could have a slapstick comedy where she's hiring like villains to go kill them and they keep failing. And then at the very end, she hires Deathstroke, and who successfully does the job. But I don't think that would work.
That was something else, though. I do think that this is James Gunn's next project, because he even said the next project he does is not going to be in the same tone as Peacemaker. So it will not be slapstick. It will not be like, there will possibly be some comedic moments.
Oh yeah.
But because I mean, you need that what is it, the comic relief or whatever. But it will not be as it was in Peacemaker. And I think the tone change can be into like something a little bit more brutal, especially with somebody like Amanda Waller being the main character.
Yeah, you know what, Clay? I think I can see that too. I would really like that. And after Peacemaker, and I really enjoyed the Suicide Squad. I'm James Gunn got my trust in things that he's behind. So
S Bubs, don't put this bad juju into this chat or into the universe because I would hate it if this happened. He says Deathstroke does the job and then gets blown up because he's technically the final witness. If you introduce Deathstroke into the DCEU just to kill him off, I would be absolutely livid.
well, we got him on a boat.
He didn't do anything. I'm
I
sorry.
know.
That's
I'm just saying. No, but
that's
I wouldn't compl I'm complaining. You're like, if we see him do that in DCU, I'm like, well, we see him just stand on a boat and drink some champagne.
yeah.
Like, that's all we've seen. Like, is that cool? Oh, he had really badass entrance that did nothing after. We never even see him stab anybody or bust him out of uh, prison. So, yeah, cool. Deathstroke. It's a setup for another movie that we never. Oh, okay. Yeah. God.
But we also got some other HBO Max news. Not really news, more of like a development here. Misha Green shared on, I believe, Instagram, her Instagram stories, what looked like like a finished script for Black Canary on her social media. Do you think this gets picked up and put into development?
I want to say this goes back to your point yet again about sticking with the DC EU and not doing like staying off that beaten path, because she can be a potential person to come into the Justice League down the line, and she's already been in DCEU in terms of Harley Quinn, Birds of Prey.
As well as her rumored appearance in Batgirl.
Yeah, so if this is the case, then yes, that makes sense. And Batgirl's in the DCEU timeline, so that would make sense as well for that to be still going. It really, Clay, I really think that you're bingo on that. With they're just sticking to DCEU projects and stuff, and it's not a terrible
Hashtag
thing
Clay was right.
because I love the fact that I know people complain. I did some of you guys, I think it was Joe and Katie, didn't like that. You need to watch the Disney Plus shows to uh, be up for Multiverse of Madness, and I love that. I love the fact that watching WandaVision and What If enhanced my viewing of Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
So if that's the same thing here, like Peacemaker, love that Peacemaker's out, and then I can go back to Suicide Squad. And when you see everything that happens with Rick Flag and all the things with Peacemaker, it might enhance my view of that even more. I haven't went back and watched the movie since I watched Peacemaker, but I love that show. So I'm not against that. I just hope that there isn't like they don't say no to some things like Joker, for example. Like I hope they give some like offshoot like Elseworlds. I hope they have like a Elseworlds brand or banner that they do movies under that doesn't tie in. But I think
Well,
for the most part right now, projects
your
are going to tie in.
Joker. That would be your Joker and the Batman.
Yeah, but right
Is
now I
of
think
the
you're
family.
right about projects just tying into that. I think that's what this is. And I'm really excited. We might see a Green Arrow. You never know; those two characters are tied together. Give me a chance to put it out here. You put it out to the universe, put it out to the universe. So who knows? Fingers crossed there.
See, you need to get a proper Green Arrow pop. That's the Arrowverse pop. There's two different ones. There's several different ones that are Green Arrow.
Oh
I need
yeah,
to find you one. No, I totally kid. But I'm excited for this. The really cool thing was somebody made a comment on the fact that Misha Green actually took their photoshopped art piece of Journey Smollett, and she actually made it the cover of her binder for the Black Canary script. And she said, "Oh well, I usually take fan art or promo stuff that fits the tone of the story. So if you want to go back to Misha Green's Twitter and try to find that post, you can actually see the picture. And from that picture alone, you can kind of see, oh, maybe this is going to be the tone of the show or that of a movie on
she
HBO Max."
replied to the artist
Yeah.
and said that. So that's pretty cool. Like kind of said something like I'm like part of her story is going to be based on like your run here. Like I kind of draw from that. That's kind of what I read from
Yeah, so I
what
thought
she
that
did
was
there.
really, really cool as well. I'm really looking forward to see how far connected Black Canary is in Batgirl, or is it just mainly a tiny cameo appearance as like a backdoor pilot to this HBO Max movie original coming in. Um,
I'm
so
curious
we,
about her journey too, though, because is she better with her powers? We just saw her use the canary cry just once, really.
yeah,
So has she gotten better at it? Has she trained at it? Can she like jump off a building and use it to land underground, or will we see that kind of stuff? Because you can do all that, and it's not that expensive of a CGI work compared to like someone turning completely flames or like a jogging. I feel like just using air kind of thing is very easy.
yeah, for sure,
Yeah,
for sure. But that is really it for the HBO Max stuff. Well, I mean, I think it was Chris Balga who shared it today that the final arc of Young Justice should be starting next week.
Thursday.
With this Thursday is
Thursday?
the fun
This
is
Thursday, I thought that's what I read. This Thursday.
okay. Is going to be the start of Nightwing's arc on Young Justice. So remember to check that out and remember to listen to the reviews over at Superhero Discussions.
Bingo. Thank you, Clay.
Boom. I got you. I got you.
Team
But
GUA.
but before we end the show, we were kind of just like, hey, we kind of want to extend this episode a little bit and talk about something that I also felt was really out of nowhere. I feel like it may have been somewhat attached to the Constantine House of Mystery as far as like why they even released this trailer, because it wasn't on the DVD in no way, shape, or form. I don't believe.
I
But we
don't
got
know. Normally, they do preview the next movie, but normally that preview is sometimes 9 minutes long, or that's what it used to be.
yeah,
So I don't know. Like this, you're right. This didn't come out your typical way that they used to do things.
yeah. We got a trailer for Green Lantern Beware My Power. This was very, very interesting. Now, I did not know this because I did not watch Long Halloween yet, but we see a Green Arrow in this trailer that is apparently featured in Batman Halloween, Long Halloween. And of course, this is the continuation of the most recent DC animated universe that they have created. We see a very familiar Martian Manhunter on this trailer. We see Hawkgirl. And we get some really surprising stuff in this trailer. I don't know if you want to bring it up necessarily on the screen or not. Uh,
Yeah, I can
but
share the screen here, Clay, and get us going.
yeah, I'll go ahead and read this little. I believe this is the description
Yeah,
of the trailer here. It says, "In Green Lantern, Beware My Power." Recently, discharged Marine sniper John Stewart is at a crossroads in his life, one which is only complicated by receiving an extraterrestrial ring, which grants him the power of the Green Lantern of Earth. Unfortunately, the ring doesn't come with instructions, but it does come with baggage like a horde of interplanetary killers bent on eliminating every Green Lantern in the universe. Now, with the aid of the lighthearted Green Arrow, Adam Strange, and Hawkgirl. See, I want to know if the Hawkgirl is. I mean, not Hawkgirl. Sorry, the Adam Strange is the same Adam Strange as the animated short that was attached to Man of Tomorrow.
ooh, I didn't watch that. I haven't watched. I haven't watched most of the shorts.
Yeah, so there is a short on Adam Strange. I'll have to double check to see if it's like the same kind of voice actor, if his voice was even featured on this trailer. Uh, but it says here, this reluctant soldier must journey into the heart of the galactic Ron Thanagar war and somehow succeed where all other Green Lanterns have failed. The film's supervising producer is Butch Lukic. Lukic?
I
I think it's Lukic. Green Lantern Beware My Power is available on 4K, Blu-ray, and digital July 26, 2022. That is actually really, really soon. Sooner than I thought it was.
Yeah.
So this, I will say this. The one big thing that I was surprised at, and you can kind of play while we're talking here. When the description says where he needs to succeed where every lantern has failed, we learn in this trailer that Hal Jordan is dead.
Yes, and right here we get this is Martian Manhunter we saw from Man of Tomorrow. We haven't seen Vixen before, and this is the Green Arrow that we saw from the end of Long Halloween Part 2 post credit scene.
Yes. But how do you feel about them killing off Hal Jordan in this
Now,
universe?
rule number one, Clay, we have to see it.
Nobody, no death.
Nobody,
As
no death.
as we were saying in the Multiverse of
We could get him
Madness
come
review.
back completely as Parallax. We don't know. Like, this is another thing I find interesting about this. This is not a lantern. This is a guardian.
I would probably believe this to be what's his name? Oh shoot, which Guardian is
This
the one
is
always
where
getting
they
in
said
trouble?
that Hal Jordan died.
I love that animation. If you go back to the moment where quote unquote Hal Jordan dies, just that one scene of this trailer looks absolutely gorgeous. I am really digging it.
What you're talking
Right.
about, wasn't it?
Yes, it
Yeah.
looks so good. I cannot wait for this movie. I have not bought one of these movies since
Let's see something for a second. Who do you know who's by Sinestro's side?
let's see here.
Actually,
Those
that is the character in Green Lantern First Flight that I think that's the same kind of character that Sinestro uses ring to bring him back to life.
yes, and the one on the other side looks like the ones that what were they called? That he asked the alien life form on that planet to build. What were they called?
Was to build a yellow orb.
Yeah, to
Yeah.
build the yellow lantern, the power battery. I can't remember their names off the top of my head. Somebody
Some
could always
good
tell us.
action here too.
Yes, I love the constructs. I love everything in this trailer. Have they said the cast of this movie yet or no?
I think they might have, but it's not in what was released there
Okay.
today. And I love this little funny in team with Green Arrow telling him to say, like, come on, start
Oh,
up.
he's supposed to say the oath, and he does not know what the oath is. I'm really hyped for this. I think the last one I did purchase was unfortunately Soul of the Dragon. Because
Ooh.
the Justice Society came before Soul of the Dragon, and then it was Long Halloween, and I felt like okay, Long Halloween. I mean, Soul of the Dragon really burnt me out on Batman animated. So I was
I can
like,
understand that actually.
I don't know if I should buy Long Halloween.
It's
And
not the
then,
greatest, to be honest with you, Clay. It's more of
well,
an average to.
that's what Snell was saying when right before you guys started to review it. Because I was questioning buying it, and Snell was like, maybe you should wait until it's streaming or something. Which it is on HBO Max currently, so I might actually watch that sometime within the next few weeks to prepare for this Green Lantern movie. Now, as far as your thoughts on this, what are you thinking about this?
I'm really excited because I love the big shared universe in animation, and we're getting that. We're getting more heroes interacting here. We're getting Thanagar War, Thanagar Ram War. We're going to see we're going to see so many different characters, and Green Lantern First Flight was one of my favorite animated movies. I think it might even be. I don't know if it's top 5, but really close. At one point, it was like when I first saw it. I think it was the first animated. I was the number 1 for me. and kept getting knocked down with other animated movies I've seen, but still, it was a great time. I love Green Lantern, and he's so underutilized with DC for anything. So getting him here, great, especially John Stewart. Like I told you before, Justice League was my introduction to the character, and seeing John Stewart, he was my Green Lantern. So yeah, I'm really excited for it in Green Arrow content. Thumbs up. I really enjoyed Martian Manhunter too in Man of Tomorrow. So I'm interested to see him play a bigger role. And we haven't seen Vixen or Hot Girl. So those are a couple characters that I really can't wait. It's nice to see him introduce more characters too. So hopefully we'll get a Justice League type movie at some point down the line.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So they are
Now,
actually the Justice League though, right now. They have to be if they're going off on this mission.
yes, it seems like we probably have like a couple, maybe years of a time jump, maybe
I don't
when this
know.
movie happens. It would be interesting to see because we don't see Batman in this
Well,
at
we
all. We
don't
don't see
know this, so
Superman.
they could be going to get Batman after
That's very true. That's very true. You
this
know,
mission.
they don't want to show everything in this trailer, of course. But with that, let's go ahead and move towards listener questions. We have two tonight. Actually, two that have a pretty big discussion into them. First being Stu Little. In a wild reality that will never happen, if DC and Marvel combine their multiverse, efforts briefly to make an amalgam universe movie, what characters would you like to see? And do you have any casting ideas? So, of course, people, if you are not aware of what the amalgam comics are, it was a brief time where DC and Marvel were both in danger of going bankrupt. So, in the efforts to make money, what they decided to do is make the amalgam universe where there was characters, two characters, one from DC, one from Marvel, where they combined those characters and they made characters like the Super Soldier, which was Superman and Captain America, or Dark Claw, which was
Dark
Batman and
Claw,
Wolverine. Then you
Angel
had
Hawk.
things. You had Angel Hawk. You had the Amazon, which was Storm and Wonder Woman. You had Spider Boy, which was Superboy and Spider Man
Iron
put together.
Lantern was another one, if I'm not
Iron
mistaken.
Lantern was Green Lantern and Iron Man, yes. And then you had Bruce Wayne, agent of Shield. I think it was still considered Shield. But Bruce Wayne was a part of Shield. You had some very crazy, you had was it Dr. Fate, which was Doctor Strange and Fate put together.
I know one was like Martian Manhunter and Professor X, wasn't Doctor Strange Fate?
Well, no, I think it was Strange Fate.
I
To be
know it
completely,
is. That's why I'm
yeah,
laughing. It's
sorry.
Doctor Strange Fate.
And then you had, what was some other ones? There was like the Doom Patrol and X-Men were put together. Really, really wild stuff, to be
And some
completely
basic
honest.
ones like Aquamariner.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, way to phone it in on that one, guys. Like, come on. Two water
Now,
guys.
what would you actually like? Because honestly, I will be completely honest with you, Stu. If this were to ever happen, it would be in animation. I think that would be the best thing to do.
I think
But
you're right.
if it was in live action, casting wise, I would have to. I think, gosh, because my immediate thought process would be either Super Soldier or Dark Claw. But the kid in me would really love to see Spider Boy.
Oh, I was thinking Iron Lantern too, because I think you could do something. I'm just on a Green Lantern fix lately, so
SBub says, or a Lego movie or a Lego video game. And honestly, that would work so well because of how interchangeable the parts of the Lego can really be. That would be really, really cool, honestly. I Iron Lantern actually sounds really cool. The only problem is you would have the mask on the entire time. And
Yeah, that's true.
I know that is really redundant compared to what I'm usually complaining about. Is like, no, you should keep the mask on all the time. You should keep the helmet on all the time.
After seeing the Batman, though, I think Dark Cloud could get away with it because of
You need white
we saw
eyes.
the No, but just the Batman had his costume on the entire time.
Yes,
I don't want to say I like white eyes or not, or I think it could be done in live action. I don't want anyone coming for me, but I just I think you could do that with that. Still get paid.
So wait, so S-Bubs, you're saying Pedro Pascal for who? Are you saying Darklaw? Pedro Pascal for Darklaw? Because I actually would not be bothered by that whatsoever. I think I would like to see as Iron Lantern. Oh, for keeping the helmet on all the time. I gotcha. Making jokes. I would honestly like to see oh shoot. I want to see the super soldier because I want to see that S shield. As far as who is under the cowl of that Captain America S suit, I think you have to do Evans. You have to do Evans, but with the Superman shield. And I know that's not much of a change, but you can't have Henry in that kind of suit. It just looks weird.
No, it would have to be Evans, especially. Yeah, I would go the same thing.
Now, the second question is
what on Thanos side too, please. Thanos and Dark Side. Give me a Thanos and Dark Side combo.
Is there even a Thanos Dark Side combo in Amalgam?
What I'm reading here.
What is his name?
Thanoside.
Thanoside is his name.
Bullets and Bracelets #1.
Okay, I have to see this. Hold on.
I gotta look this up.
Thanos will be EID because people are weird when it comes to comics. That is a real thing. He is purple and blue. Sure. That could be the main villain of Super Soldier is Thanoside. He looks like Darkseid but purple. Yeah, that's honestly what he looks like. So S-Bubs, you put in a question here that is very, very interesting. Because of course you just had to ask us a Marvel question here. He got away with it because I said, do you have DC Universe related questions? And this is a DC Universe related question with Marvel. So he says, which will happen first, the MCU's Secret Wars or the DCEU rushing to get to a Crisis on Infinite Earths movie? So let's answer. Well, the second part of that question is, do you think there will actually be a DCEU Crisis movie, considering that they supposedly are going for a more unified universe? So I will say this. I will say that the DCEU will happen first with the Crisis. And the reason why I say that is because of the second half of your question, S-Bubs. I do think they do want a unified universe, but I still think that they want a unified universe without the baggage of what used to be, or technically what currently is. So they want to be able to erase everything and start anew. That's what I think. I know that you can, quote unquote, technically do that with Flashpoint, but that is a soft reset. Whenever the hard reset is right there standing in front of them, you can definitely do that as well. So that is why I think the Crisis on Infinite Earths will happen first before Secret Wars. What about you, Heinz?
I disagree. I think that the MCU will get to the Secret Wars, but I don't think the DCU will get to a Crisis on Infinite Earths movie for a while. I think they will use the Flashpoint to reset everything they want to reset. I don't think they're going to reset everything because we just got things out a couple weeks ago about Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot working on Wonder Woman 3 with Patty Jenkins. So I feel like Wonder Woman's here to stay. I feel like Aquaman's here to stay. And so I don't think they're going to rub those people, like erase those people out. So they're still there. So I think they'll use Flashpoint as a soft reboot and they won't get to it. Whereas Marvel just plan right nice and sensible Secret Wars. We're already getting some little tidbits and little nuggets and that heading towards that way. And everyone's like, ooh, we'll take our time, our nice little walk. Let's smell the roses as we go on the path. Where DC's like driving drunk with goggles, like crashing in trees, going like, we'll get there. So I don't think they'll get to that, Espubs. I think that I think they'll use Flashpoint as reset whatever they want to reset. I don't think they should do that. I think if they're going to want one unified universe, I think they should go with Clay's idea of using Crisis on Infinite Earths to make it that way, to make one Earth and just go start anew. But I don't think they're I keep judging on the previous regime, so I gotta wait and see 100%. But my history tells me that no, they will not accomplish that. Also, isn't that just a little too early? Like, didn't Crisis just happen on CW a couple years ago? I know, like, part of the Crisis was shows getting erased, like the ripple effect. Apparently, we didn't notice that, but yeah, I thought that, like, do you think it's too close? Like, what, 10 years it got to be? Like, isn't it 2017
No,
or
because
2018?
unfortunately, and this is kind of a tease of what we talk about in the Constantine review that we did of House of Mystery. People see the CW as like a non-important part of DC's history. So although they might play with it when it comes to a on-screen, big screen Crisis, the small screen Crisis is probably like a meh. Until, of course, like we said, Grant Gustin's going to show up in The Flash. It's a big deal, cool. But like, again, it's the idea of Marvel has made their TV shows very important. DC has not made their TV shows very important.
See, I will say it's more so because the DC shows, Marvel shows, the ones not on Netflix, they were poopy, like in terms of reception for stuff like Agent Seal, Cloak and Dagger, stuff, The Runaway, stuff like that didn't do well. And DC was still trotting along with successful DCCW, but not improving Clay. Just like doing the same sort of formulaic stuff. They got to like a machine, and then what does Marvel do? Oh, we're going to completely change the way we do television now. We're going to completely inject a lot of money in. It's going to be like big pictures. We're going to put our big characters in the small screen, and then what's DCW still doing the exact same thing they did 5 years ago. So
well, yeah, and that's what I'm saying is that people look at the DCCW and they're like, oh, that's its own thing. It's the redheaded stepchild that you leave out in the cold and hope that it just runs away. But like, that's just how they treat them, unfortunately. And Hines is cuddling his Stephen Amell Arrow pop right there. But I just don't think that they will really think of that Crisis and be like, oh, it's too soon. They will act like it doesn't exist. And
I think you're right too, because like the big time fans, the actual fans will be like, oh my god, I'll watch another Crisis. Who cares? Like the big live action one. And general audience probably never even saw that.
So, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. But that is it for listener questions. Espub says Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was pretty well received by its 25 fans, including me.
Espub, I watched the first like 3 seasons. I think when I can't remember the guy's name now. He turned evil, good, evil like 3 times. The third time, I think when he came back from the dead, I stopped watching. Or might have been a little before that.
I remember Ghost Rider. And
that was oh my god, that was probably
that was all I remember. That's the last thing I remember watching is Ghost Rider.
Hold on to that memory.
But with that is all of our questions, and that is it for the show this week. Just want to thank everybody for lasting this long, short, sweet episode compared to what we usually do. But Heinz, where can the lovely listeners find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Travis_156. You can drop me a line. We can chat about DC anytime. I also host superhero discussions on the network. We did a special episode, yes, but obviously going to continue to give you the content, and we'll be reviewing the latest episode of Young Justice that'll drop on your feeds Wednesday. So check that out there.
All right. And of course, you can always find me at Fanboy Clay on Twitter. You can go into the description of my bio there to find the link tree to find all the shows that I am a host of, that including DC Alliance, Batman News Weekly, Ranger Alliance, and of course, yes, Katie, I did add it. I did put Star Wars Alliance in my link tree. It is there. I have double checked it. You can click the link and it sends you right to the show, the solo feed. So go check that out. And I recently just started a Sunday manga podcast with Jim over at Weird Science. We're going chapter by chapter of the original Dragon Ball series. We just recently recorded chapter 3, so the first 2 chapters are already out there. Go check those out. Really, really fun doing that so far.
Question: how much did the show differ from the manga? Because I know that has happened a lot, like in some cases.
So far in the first 3 chapters, it is pretty dead set. It is
Okay,
pretty
I've been doing a
on par with the
rewatch
show. Yeah,
of Dragon Ball.
I have been wanting to go back to Dragon Ball recently, as far as a rewatch as well, and it fits very much with how I am reading. So I'm probably gonna go do that as well.
It's a slog the first thing until he meets the Red Army and then goes trains with Master Roshi. Until that stuff happens, like it's really.
I mean, you do get the moments of like him finding Master Roshi to begin with.
Yeah,
And
and the first Kamehameha wave.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The first Kamehameha wave onto the car is probably one of my favorite moments in Dragon Ball.
Freaks
But
everybody out. Like, what?
with that, guys, thank you so much for being here. And we will, I don't know if we will be live. It really depends on schedules and whatnot, but we will be recording Superman and Lois for their next episode. Well, actually, the prior episode in preparation for the episode coming up soon at the end of May. But with that, guys, thank you so much. And we will see you guys then.
Later, guys.